Yeah, cool. So I want to go back to the beginning. Let's let's think about the melody for a second. I want to work on like shaping it and getting it more locked in with each other. So can we all sing? Let's just have your lead, right? Okay, lead and who has a no, okay, cool. Let's just sing right at 9. One, two, 1, 2.
Da da do da da do da 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 da.
Cool. So anybody else have that later on? Have the melody or have a figure that harmonizes? Okay, cool. Let's add to that. I'd like to hear more like more creativity on the line. If we could think a little more emphatically. If we could have more. You know what? Yeah, no. Let's just sing it. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Ba 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 ba
Great. And one more thing, could we all think like we're like the rhythm section, just a little more attack, a little more on top of things. That'll help kind of drive. Because right now we're kind of getting in a bad habit, and this is kind of being dramatic. So we're kind of yeah. And can we get a little more? Right there. One more time. Anyone who has that figure. And that. Cool. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
Da do da do da da do da 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 do da da do da da do da da dee da do da 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 da.
Awesome. Okay, let's stop there. I want to go on to the solo section. How much time do we have?
You have 6 minutes left.
So nerve-wracking. Can we go right at 42, where we have the backgrounds? Carlos, do you want to solo on that?
I can.
You haven't written in.
Okay. Yeah.
So and then trumpet 2 that takes over at some point. Let's do the background figures. If we could think the same kind of thing, a lot more percussion, a lot more on top of things, paying close attention, And also the balance. We should have. It says that we're forte on the backgrounds, right?
Yeah.
But that should be more of a controlled forte, because the backgrounds. And yeah. So write it. What did I say? 42. 42. All right. Right there. On. What's up?
Do you want to pick up?
Yeah. Let's see, pick up. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. One more time. Can we just do horns only? So no drum, no piano. One more time. Try to listen in. Listen into the middle of the section, right there. 1, 2, 1, 2. That's a quarter note pickup? No, that's a dotted quarter. Sorry. One more time. Anticipate it a little more. 1, 2, 1, 2. Cool. A little more motion too. Let's do 58 as one last thing. Because we have all these nice crescendos. We should use them. Pay attention to them. Right there. 58. 1, 2. Can you click on 2 and 4? Cool, thanks. 1, 2, 1, 2, 4.
You got a couple minutes of time.
Yeah.
You don't have to use all the time, Mr. Curry.
Yes, please.
I feel like you are saying a lot of the right things, but I think there's some vocabulary that you're missing.
Oh,
Essentially, I love the fact that you have him sing. I love that fact. In order to get that, you were trying to use the word energy and other things to get them to do it, but really what has to happen is you need to model what the enunciation you want them to do it. Everybody should sing it exactly the same. You could sing it the same. I'm saying the same exact syllables.
Yeah.
Then it will be clear. The articulation will be clear.
Yeah.
Okay. And so that's a big part of it. And we sing a lot with ours, and and especially in sectionals, we'll really talk about what do you really want it to sound like? Do you want it to be DAHT? Dot?
Yeah.
Do you want it to be open? Do you want it, do you want to be attacked?
I
heard all kinds of different things. And essentially you were getting different things.
Right.
But I don't think you could tell exactly. I knew you had a certain thing in your head, but you couldn't articulate what you wanted. So I would spend some time on it and figuring out how do I want this to be articulated. And that's going to be with everything. And it's not necessarily, there's no right or wrong, but if everybody's unified,
right.
it'll be clear.
Yeah.
Okay. The other thing is on a triplet, I always tell my kids, tongue first and the trickle, clean things up. Cool, that'd be cool.
Awesome. Thanks. I think that's it.
Up next is Smoke Gets in Your Eyes, directed by Carlos. We had less than an hour to prepare and be notified about
So
this.
we're all gonna be sight reading. Don't you worry.
Trumpets, just make sure someone covers the main melody part. I think. Oh, just kidding. Okay.
Alright, everyone, how are we doing today? Good? Okay.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm Carlos. I'm sophomore music ed. I'm strictly classical saxophone, so this is another realm for me. Alright. How about we just run it, go from there, but first, Hannah, you're doing cool.
Yeah, I just had to grab it.
Okay. While Hannah's getting set up, who wants to solo if they have a solo on their part?
I think it's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, so the whole, okay, let's go. Cool. All right.
I've done this too. This is a good chart.
Okay. That's your turn. All right. How about we just get the rhythm section going from the top? Just the first 4 bars. Whatever you want. You can start. Or do you want me to start? I'm starting. Okay. One, two, three, four. We're gonna sing from the beginning, everyone, okay? One, two, three, four. Yes, girl. Okay. All right. Now that we have this, how it starts, we're just gonna run it through and go from there. Y'all ready? Okay. I thought it was silly. Okay. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. That was good. That was good. All right. Now that we have the idea of how it goes and everything, we're gonna talk a little bit about two things: dynamics and articulation. We were all working really well, like with dynamics as a band. I did feel, Hannah, I don't know if you want to agree or not. That's something.
Dude, I was working so
Yeah,
hard.
we don't want
so
we
hard.
don't want her working that hard. It is kind of featuring the flugelhorn, so we kind of have to keep that in mind. Dynamics are relative. Concert band here as well now, so just keep that in mind. And remember to, who are our first parts? Raise your hand. Oddly enough, they're in the middle, so just listen in. Because sometimes there was a few voices sticking out and sounded good enough, but we still want to reference to the center. All right. And then speaking of our lead voices, we're going to take a trip real quick to. Okay, 43. If I can just use leads real quick. Listen to the way they articulate. This is kind of how we want to articulate as a band together. So if you want to keep time, feel free. Ready? 40. Yeah, 43. Ready? Because everyone, okay, just to point it out, everyone has said the same rhythm throughout, and then we divide. Actually, no. Yeah, we all have the same rhythm to support Hannah as she enters in 46, right? 47, my bad. 47. So again, 47, we want to drop down dynamics a little bit. Right now, 43 till 43, just keep going, leads, and then everyone else listen to the way they articulate. Ready? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. noticing, just first impressions? Different than what we might have played it. Anyone? Yeah? Okay, cool. So that's kind of what we want to go for as opposed to what we played before. Now we can all sing it together, keeping that in reference if we remember what it sounded like. If not, it's okay. Let's try it. 43, and then it repeats again. We'll just, don't worry about that. Just add 43, everyone. Singing for now. Singing and then leads if you guys are cool with playing still. That'd be great. Ready? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Together. That's all in offbeats, you know. I got like that's the best advice I have. But yeah, just feel it like da 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 da. It's kind of a loop.
The tendency for most young jazz fans is to rush that thing.
Okay.
So you want to sit back on it.
Okay. Ooh. Okay. I'm moving.
Da da do da 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 do da 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 do da da. Sit right on it.
Okay. So let's loop those bars and have Joe give us some time. So that's cool. Thank you, Joe. All right. This is 55. Let's sing once and then let's play it again. A bar in between, just so everyone can get their phone set. Ready? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. One, two, three. Sorry, my bad. That's on me. We're just looping 55. Yeah, to 58. Singing, and then we're going back and playing. My bad, that's on me. Ready? Again, singing, and then one bar, and then back at 53, playing through 59. 1. Yeah, sorry, 55. Sorry. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Singing. 1, 2, 3. Centered idea of what the rhythm and the articulation is supposed to sound. Let's take it from 43 and then just keep it going from 43 real quick. Anna?
A couple minutes.
2 minutes? Okay. If you want to chime in, feel free. I just like to feel it.
Yeah, the code verification and code report.
Okay.
Did this tune feel easier than the first tune?
Yeah.
Why do you think? It's straight. Straight A's, that's exactly right. Straight A's, because most of us hear stuff that are straight, and so it comes easier to us. The swing feel is much more difficult because you got the subdivision of and triplicate rather than duples. So that's why this one feels easier. That's why it came together a little bit quicker as well.
Okay.
Just point that out.
Yeah. Yeah, that is true. Yeah, I feel like if anyone else noticing, we were going to do that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Kind of with the claw. Is it a claw?
There should be a claw.
Right. Yeah. In the drums, right? Okay. Yeah. So that's
If we were going to add something, you could add a claw there, or you could add something else in there.
okay.
That's good too.
To get more people involved.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
20 seconds.
Okay. That's it. I'll leave it for a minute.
That's great.
Thank you very much.
Up next is RIOKUN. Go. Let's see, solos at 56. Raise your hand. Got trombone. Okay. Who wants to solo at 56? Even if you don't have it in your part, this song is an E flat blues. So if you feel comfortable soloing, let's see. Raise your hand if you want to solo. Okay. Katie, Kevin. All right. That's
Question, do you want a written solo?
no. You can improvise.
Okay.
If you want to do some written, you can. It's up to you. You want to blow?
Yeah.
All right. We'll have 3 solos. We'll each just do one time through. So if everybody looks 56 through like 75, that's that first ending. Let's do 3 times total 56 to 77. All right. Sure, why not? More practice. We'll do backgrounds every time. 3 solos. Let's just go back. So we'll start saxophone, and then go trombone, trumpet last. All right. Does that make sense? So take the second ending, which will really be like the third time, that final ending. All right. I'll help direct that. Cool. Only thing to look out for is the DS. Where does that go back to? 37. And then where do we jump to the coda? 55. And the coda is real short. It's just a couple, 3 measures there. 10.
Are you going on the reminders in the coda?
Yes. Yeah. So the second to last bar, the band has 1 and I'll cut it off and then give you that final measure. All right. You should have 2 from out there, except for 2. All right. This one is a doodle chart, so let's get some doodles going. Good. And can we also just sing this background rhythm right here? Brass, sing your part in the beginning. Saxes, you'll be able to catch on. Da, 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 da. Good. So we want that bite to it. Da, da. Awesome. All right, let's get into it. From the top. Start out nice and big. Dynamic for most of y'all is fortissimo. 1, 2. So 56, very nice reading up until that point there. 56, trumpets, trombones, saxes, who don't have the solo parts right now. You guys should have some backgrounds there. Let's do that every time. Let's do it every time. Let's start right on 56 with Kevin, all right? And then rhythm section, feel free, Joe, you can set up some of those. You don't necessarily have to play that strict rhythm. You can fill into some of those. Does that make sense? Cool. All right, 56. 1, 2, ready, go. Let's start right on actually 37, right on 37. Trumpets and alto one. Actually, trumpets and altos can play out. You guys have the melody. 37. 1, 2, ready, go. Just the trumpets do. Yeah, let's just all make that a fall. Last note fall. Can we start right on the coda? Right on the coda? 1, 2, coda, go. And fall. Yeah, perfect, awesome. That's the idea. So throughout the whole thing, you could probably get a little more snare drum action on the 2 and 4, kind of that shuffle on the snare. You know what I'm saying? That helps us kind of propel us forward. Overall, this tune should have this kind of sense of forward momentum, right? Driving, shuffle, swing feel going forward. Saxes, let's start with you guys on your first initial time you have a melody at 5. The last 8th note of every little chunk of 8 notes, can you make an accent like dot? De-do, dot. Bite it a little bit. De-do, dot. De-do, dot. Can we try that? Just saxes at 5. A 1, a 2, Good. Yeah, that one, make sure. That's another, right? Always be on top of it here. You can jump that and a 3 a little more. 1, 2, 3. Can we take it right there, measure 10? A 1, 2, 10, go. 1, 2. Keep going. Good. Yeah, that last one's really nice. Yeah, it's getting better. Very nice. Let's take it. Very nice solos, by the way. That was awesome. Awesome solos. Let's go right after the solo into 77. This is kind of the shout chorus of the tune, kind of this spot here. Joe, feel free to just lead us through all these hits. You can think of this basically like a drum solo with band accompaniment at the start here. Let's take it at 77. Measure before, pick up, and a 3. 1, 2. Yeah, that's it. All right, here we go. 77. A 1, a 2. Cool thing happening. Can I see your trumpets to start? Trumpets going into 85. Everybody else take a look at your part and see how that lines up with the trumpet. Trumpets going into 85. A 1, a 2, a 1, 2. Good. So this, I would think of this as like a dot. De-do, da, 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 da. Can we? Trumpets, can you try it again, kind of thinking dots with your articulation? A 1, a 2, a listen to the lead. Another thing, we have a lot of quarter notes in a row, right? What should we do with them? Any idea? Yeah, what does this mean? Yeah, all right, let's try. So we're gonna go somewhere, right? Let's push forward a little bit. So we can probably back off a little bit at the start, so we have somewhere to go. Right? Make it lead to that beat 1. Trumpets. 1, a 2, Very nice. Sax, let's hear you guys. A 1, a 2, a 1, 2. Yeah, that's how I should have had altos for the trumpets. Tenors and Barry, can I hear you guys? A 1, 2, ready, go. This is 85. Ba, 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 da, ba, boo, da, da. Tenors and Barrys, 85. A 1, 2, ready, go. Good. Yeah, and then lead to that 8th note of the N4 of 86. Trombones, let's hear you guys. A 1, a 2, a 85, bones, go. Yeah, wonderful. Let's hear everyone 85, 86, still no rhythm. A 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3. Yeah, anybody on the hands, can you push us a little more? A 1, a 2, a One more time, ready, go. Everybody there, including rhythm. 85, 1, 2.
I just want to point out what Ryan did there, and you should feel like you should be able to have liberty to change solo sections, move things around, put backgrounds in different places, change things up like that. Too many times I'll go to a jazz festival and I'll hear people that will play exactly how it is on the page, including all the written solos and all that kind of stuff. And you can add solos, you can add backgrounds, you can make up your own backgrounds, you can do all kinds of different things. The chart is just, it's a framework for it, and so you should feel free to change some things up. So I like that Ryan added some solos and did some of that stuff. So feel like you have liberty to do that, because you do. It's just a shell for improvisation. So,
All right. We have one more director. Let's go to Nutville, and Haley is conducting.
What does that mean? Give me some adjectives. Katie.
When I take something, mambo, I think it's like fast, like
Okay.
more combination, like double time.
Okay. Fair. What's the feel? Like more than just it's fast, it's double time. Like is it a dance? Is it, oh, we gotta go? Like, what are we feeling? It's rhythmic. Interesting. It's a dance. Yeah. Also, I forgot, I'm Haley, by the way. I'm a sophomore music education major, and this is the second time I've done this, but I still don't know what I'm doing. So this is gonna be new for all of us. Okay. So I think we should just get into it. Yeah. No, there's roadmap stuff. There's a repeat from 5 to what is this? 28. And some people only play the second time. There is a DS and a coda, just to be aware of it. Yeah.
At 31, it says it's open for solos. Is there
Oh,
somebody with delegated changes? Because I don't know.
Oh,
Or does no one have changes? I have changes.
you have changes? Who else? Does anyone else have changes there? No? And yeah, and there is a written optional solo sheet. I don't know if you guys have that with that. So I think everybody actually has an opportunity to improv if you would like to. Who all wants to go? Katie wants to go, Kevin wants to go, do you wanna go, Sam?
No. Not today.
No base solo?
I don't want to.
You wanna go?
I'm interested, but I want to hear it first.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. Alright. So maybe we just get this started.
Count us off in half minutes.
Yeah. Please fast. One, two, 1, 2. Okay. It's fast. There's a lot of notes in there, right? But for the most part, you guys really have a good idea. I would like to go back to around 21. I'm really sorry, second trumpet, whoever was segregating that. But you're the only interesting. You're the only interesting thing that's happening there for the most part, like harmonically, like there's harmonic movement.
Is it not with the sounds?
No.
That's all second trumpet. So you got this. What's something we've noticed harmonically about this, just within the first read? What are we thinking? Does it sound like normal, or they're like crunchy chords, or
It's all,
it's all what?
it's altered.
It's altered.
There's a lot of crunchy notes.
Yeah. Makes for lots of fun with improv.
If you
But yeah, let's start back at, can we get another shot at that, starting at 5, like going in two beat pickup to 5, the second time, and work and listen for the back and forth, because now we have, I believe it's trombones come in the second time, yeah? Yes?
Yeah.
And so we have the altos go ba 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 da ba da, and then there's a response there, and we have to be able to hear that response. So if we could get another shot at 5, I'll give you 2 bars, and then you guys can come in on like 2. 1, 2, 3, yeah? Okay. So 1, 2, 1. Okay.
It's not swinging at
All right.
21. We're not, as a group, we're not there.
Okay.
So, yeah. Just so we get it, but the drummer has to set up 21 into a swing feel. And even when we got, the first time we did it, we got into 31, we totally missed the swing section.
Yeah. Okay.
So I would personally do it a little slower so we
Okay.
get the right notes.
Got it.
Right.
Sorry, still learning.
This tune can cook.
It
The
can.
Greg Hopkins version of it is
Yes.
really difficult.
Yeah.
This one's accessible, and it's accessible for younger players, so it's a good arrangement.
1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. I'm so sorry. 1.
Are we tired?
We're starting into 5 again.
Okay.
Second
Again,
time.
my bad. Second time. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. I'm positive she's working hard. So let's look, when we get into that section, what's our dynamic for everyone? Where are we at? There's a sports ondo and then nothing, right? So in order to hear that part, we probably should come down a little bit, yeah? And at that slower tempo especially, again, a lot of notes, understand, it's a sight read. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are, is I would have the rhythm section play it first.
Okay.
So you get those transitions, because the transition that time to the swing was better, but coming out of it, going into 31, that was not a clean transition. And it was horn players probably not knowing what the rhythm section is doing. So I would have, honestly, you might just have the rhythm section play from 5 through down into the transition back into 31, so that everybody can hear it and you can visualize your part or internalize your part where it is on that. But the part of the reason I picked this tune is because it goes back and forth.
Yeah.
Between, and I think that's an important skill to be able to have, and to keep the tempo the same, going from the mambo feel to the swing feel. And you go to a jazz festival, you'll hear people like take off on one section or slow down in one section. And so it's an important skill. And in fact, if any of you come into my band room, and the two of you have, I believe, you'll see I actually keep a stick on my stand, and people are like, why do you have the stick? Well, you clap your hands or snap your fingers long enough and you'll understand exactly why, because you'll have blood all over them. And so I keep a stick on the stand, and I dictate the tempo that I want consistently on that. And so that's the first thing a lot of people ask me about, why the stick? That's the reason why. But that's what I would do. I would have the rhythm section just really lock that in. Everybody else internalize their parts so that you can make that transition.
Okay. You guys want to take it the first time at 5 then, and then we can run it twice to see if we can catch any of those loose ends?
Sure.
Do you want to count them off or?
Sure.
Okay.
Why? Because I want that sound. I want my bass players to develop that sound. I want to hear the bounce, the point that hit this of that. That's the part that we're not getting. The part that you two need to lock in on in order to make that happen. So that's what I would do, is make sure that you guys are right there. And are you putting your thumb against the fingerboard and then pulling? Okay, just try that again. I've seen lots of bass players give clinics, and you got to be like bringing it. Part of it's with your arm, but having the weight go into it and just drive through that. That was better. Try that again. job would be to just make sure that we're locking in on that field. And I think you were pushing us just a little bit on that, okay? Cool. So now it's the add the wins in.
Okay.
You count them all.
Okay.
I would go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Bum, bum, bum.
Okay.
Yeah, go first time.
Okay.
First time. You guys, the background, internalize those backgrounds. And actually, people call them backgrounds, but I heard a clinician one time say something. I almost said this earlier on the backgrounds. They're enhancements. You're enhancing the soloists, right? So think about it that way. Don't think of it as the background.
All right. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1.
Did you see how much easier it was for them to lock in once the rhythm section was
Yes.
set and once we all knew what the form was? It was that much easier. I had it from there, she went down. I think people found that some other things.
All right, at this point, we'll transition to kind of our Q&A with Mr. Curry. If you could all just pass your folders to Mariano, or just down the line, someone in your section will come around and grab them.
I like this. Actually,
Yeah, that's like-
I look at the great hockey. This is what
Jen, probably.
Yeah. It's a fun show.
Like over like all three changes, not primary, very.
That's cool. Hey, my bands are made up of lots of kids playing different instruments. My whole trombone section, my third band, they all play different stuff. So that's, you gotta do it somehow. When you're a band leader, you figure it out. Actually, this class of senior girls that I have right now are really fantastic. They actually took the cue from the senior boys from last year. They all stepped up and they wanted the third band to still be around. And so they all played a secondary instrument. They played trombone. The kid that was in the honors combo, the trumpet player, played piano in that band. So they all played different instruments just so that the band could flow.
That being said, how do you like increase people? Obviously, like the time is limited already, like taking care of all these bands. How do you introduce and how do you like not track but upkeep their process in their secondary if you're not there to like guide them or like they don't have a lesson?
Well, most of them don't have a lesson teacher. So where do we start? So we do auditions at the beginning of the school year. And we actually do the same auditions that ILMEA uses. So we use the same exact ones. And part of that is so that they'll feel comfortable and will audition for districts and hopefully end up going all state. So I think a lot of people do that. But that's generally what we do. Our bands meet. They work primarily before school, 6:50 in the morning to 7:55. It's not a 0 hour. It's never been a class. The top group rehearses 3 days a week. I've done the third band for a number of years, and that means Tuesday, Thursday. So I have every day in the morning. And then this past year, the guy who was doing the second band left our school, went down to Franklin Middle School, and he's doing strings down there. And so I asked Mrs. Currey to do the band. She exercises in the morning. She walks 5 miles a day. And honestly, I'm getting closer to retirement. And in our school district, and these are things that you'll need to know going into your jobs, is you get stipends for extra duties. In our district, they pay pretty well, and a jazz band is around $5,000. So I was not willing to throw $5,000 away. So I picked up the third band, a third jazz band. And honestly, I don't ever really want it to be a class, not because I don't want to have those kids every day, but because the stipends are great. And honestly, that's a big reason I haven't left Champaign, is because the stipends are good, and I get paid for every extra ensemble and things that I do. And so I don't have a problem working long hours. So where do I go with this? Our middle school feeder, I'll just be flat out honest with you. Our middle school feeder for years was great. We got 50 kids a year from this one school. And there were some fantastic people that were there. Two of the people that were there student taught with me, and student taught with the person that was there. And so I've never been afraid to hire a young teacher. And so this last person that we hired, she's not doing it. I'll just be honest with you. And we've gone from getting 50 kids a year down to about 6 or 7 from that school. It's a marked difference. And so I'm having to be real creative and to be real, how do you say it? Like willing to give up of my time to help kids. And so, so I've always done some sorts of these things. This past year, it was coming out of COVID. There was like I said, I had a really fine trumpet player in my band. And I moved a kid that came from that program who was starting to show some signs of doing some nice things in our second band. I put him in our top band the second half of the year. And now he's become our soloist. That little kid, Evan, that you work with, he actually got high praise yesterday at the Eastern Jazz Festival. People loved that tune. The Boy Meets Horn, he did that down there. And so I try to move people into roles and make them feel special at certain points. Going back to the third band, I felt like I had to do the third band because at one time I had hired that out, and people felt slighted that they didn't have me. It's an odd thing to say, but it's what was happening. And actually, I'll tell you the results from yesterday. Our third band placed higher than our second band, sort of. But it's because there's a lot of kids in the third band that are playing secondary instruments. They already know how to swing. They already know the feel. They know, I mean, my top bass player playing tenor sax. The all-state saxophone players playing bass trombone. My Evan's playing trombone. Another Barry player's playing trombone. So like my whole trombone section is kids that can already play instruments. They just start figuring this part of it out. It's a young trumpet section, mostly freshmen. With we do easier charts. I've been doing honestly. I've looked in the last 2 years. I've bought a lot of the Discovery Jazz series, Rick Stitzel, Roger Holmes, Michael Sweeney. Like I'm learning this literature right now, partly because of where our program is. Before it was, throw Gordon Goodwin, throw Nestico, throw, all the Alan Baylock, all the big names, just heavy hitters. And honestly, we would go to a jazz festival and would have played a chart twice and still go and do them. But we did Mama Yama Samba once, a Gordon Goodwin chart with 2 rehearsals. That's that level of readers that we had at one point. We don't have that now. So I'm learning new literature. And so kids definitely don't want the program to go down on their dime. I mean, that's basically what's been going on. And so other kids are stepping up. I've had bassoon players that step in and play trombone. I've had oboe players, come in, and I'll do the auditions and I'll ask kids, hey, you want to do, after I do the auditions, I'll fill in spots with other kids. And then kids will come and they'll have the first gig at Jupiter's Pizza out there. And it's a mob of people. And then they'll go, hey, can I join the jazz band? And then I have to start thinking, okay, can I fit everybody on a bus when we go to a jazz festival? That's what I've been thinking, because it was $1,900 for the last coach bus that we did. So I get as many kids in as I can. I try not to double parts, although I do have a second alto, so I have like 6 saxophones. At times I'll have 5 trombones. I do have 5 trombones. I'll go 5 trumpets. Occasionally I'll throw an extra kid in if they really, want to do it. And I think it's important to get kids in that want to do it. And if they're showing up at 6:50 in the morning, there's no grade, there's no nothing, they want to do it. And so that's the cool part about it. And I highly suggest doing it in the morning, because in the afternoons you're dealing with all kinds of sport conflicts and all kinds of other things. And I don't know what your programs did. When I came to Central 25 years ago, they did not do it that way. And it was, at first, I had to take some convincing to get kids to do it. But you know what? That's the best way to wake up in the morning and to come in and play your instrument and be on top of it. And some kids, they want to be in all the morning groups. So I have kids that are in the top band and the kids that are in the second band. When I say second and third band, the second band and the third band are this year, because of me having to physically do it after school, I asked kids, can you rehearse in the morning or can you rehearse in the afternoon? And kids, so they're much more, less second and third band are even, essentially. They're all at that same level. And I'm stretching them. I'm now in the stage band, I've thrown in, some Mark Taylor stuff, and I've thrown in some, we did an Oliver Nelson thing at the Jazz Festival, a really nice alto ballad, for that. So I'm trying to push them in that direction, pull them, from wherever they were. I enjoy working with people that have never been in a jazz band before, because it's fun to get them to swing and have them go, ooh, yeah, I get this now. And if you don't have audio stretch, you should get audio stretch, and you should, because you can download any MP3 into it, and you can start transcribing, and that'll make a big difference in your programs when you have it. Matt, some of you guys know my kids are here; they're about your same age. I have twins. Matthew is an engineering major, but he's a French horn player, but he's a pretty decent jazz pianist. And my daughter is a very good trombonist. Both of them were all-state kids, and I think they met some of you guys at Birch Creek. And they're not necessarily playing a lot right now, but they I think on Matthew's first lesson on piano, he's taking lessons from a guy who's a grad student. They said, get audio stretch. It's like a $10 program, and he had Matthew transcribe a Hank Mobley, two choruses of a Hank Mobley chart. We had two weeks to do it. And I remember sitting next to him on the piano. He's a sixth grader, and rolling my finger back and forth on it, and then so now he's gotten to the point where he can just hear it and he can play. It takes a little bit of time to get it going, but it really pays huge dividends down the road. I would highly suggest that. Other really good, I didn't give you a chart of his, but Mike Kama is a great arranger, and he gets it. He's a middle school band director in Montgomery County. Well, he's retired now, but I played the saxophone quartet with his wife when I was teaching in Montgomery County, Maryland. And I've been friends with them. We were all young teachers in Maryland at the same time. He was the lead trumpet player for the Alan Balak Orchestra at one point, but he and his wife do exactly what my wife and I do. They taught together in a middle school. Well, I'm not in a middle school, but they teach together in a middle school. And so he gets middle school kids or young high school kids, and all of his charts are like gold. So I highly suggest his charts. Another good writer, Rick Hirsch is another good writer. He was a college roommate of mine. He's pretty accessible, and his charts are a little different, but another very good writer. Mike Dana, he's out in California. He's a good writer for that level. Obviously, Rick Stitzel and some of those other ones for the younger groups. But then you start getting into more advanced stuff, and there's all kinds of writers. But you want to find the ones that write for the level of band that you're probably going to have in your first gig. Those are the ones you want to get into that. And honestly, when I was a young teacher, I'd go to a jazz festival. I would have one group. I would bring the one group, and I made every mistake in the book. Kids showing up without the drum, without the bass drum pedal, or without the brushes, or without the snare drum, pieces. I mean, I'm a much more seasoned teacher, and I get all that stuff ready. When I was younger, I just let the kids do it, and that's the wrong thing. You got to make sure you get on it or teach them about it. But as a young teacher, I would go to a jazz festival, and I'd sit there all day and listen to all the other bands, and I would go, hey, I like that chart, I'm gonna write it down. Hey, I like that chart. And then I would start investigating. I heard Phil Cruz do the Samba de Gringo 20-something years ago, right before Gordon Goodwin exploded. I was like, what is that? I went up on the stage, I introduced myself to Phil, and Phil and I have been friends for 25 years now. But I said, what is that? He said, oh, this great composer. And Gordon Goodwin's before Gordon Goodwin was big. And I was like, I have to do that. And the next year, in 2002, we were playing at the Midwest Clinic. And so I programmed that tune on there. And so what I'll do is I'll get on a kick. I'll hear something that I like, and I'll go and I'll listen to everything. Like even in concert with Frank Kelly, I went on a Frank Kelly kick, and I listened to every Frank Kelly chart, and I probably bought most of them. Martin House, same thing. My library is pretty good. I have in my library right now, I have a little over 2,000 jazz charts, and I have a lot of concert band music. And I've been doing orchestra now for the last 15 years. So my orchestra library is getting bigger and bigger too. So what I suggest is you listen to stuff at the level that you're teaching and try to find other charts that are like that are creative and that will work for, if you're at middle school, if you're at high school, if you're doing a second or third band, figure out what works for that. And then, that's the fun part about it, and finding stuff. Here's the other thing: as a young teacher, I used to think, oh man, I'm never gonna have this, a doubler, or I'm never gonna have a plunger trumpet player, I'm never gonna have this. What I realized is they're not gonna move in. They're just not. You have to do it yourself. You have to find the literature that's going to let them express themselves and figure that stuff out. So like I remember first great plunger kid we had, I remember sitting with her in the back in my office, this hideous office, working on plunger technique. And I'm not a trumpet player at all, but working on that and working on growling and we did the mooch. We went out to Lincoln Center, and that was a hit. Then all of our kids are like, how do you do that? And so now you have a whole group of kids that play with a plunger. Develop a clarinet player, you have to develop those things. It's not going to happen on their own. That's the biggest thing that, comes with being more experienced, is figuring that part of it out and programming correctly. I'll be honest with you, because of our middle school situation, our group is not nearly as good as it has been in the past. I'll just be flat out honest with you. Don't go telling any of my kids that. But I'm proud of them because we went to Eastern yesterday, and I know some of the bands that were there, and I know some of the kids that are in the other bands are really good soloists. And our top group did place first. That's not exactly what I'm proud of them of. I think the biggest part of it is the stuff that we chose to play. And it was just like when I was here as a grad student, our saxophone quartet won the Bischoff Chamber Music Competition, and we won the Coleman Chamber Music Competition. And when you start to, what?
What did you play at grad?
Well, I can tell you. So you get into these competitions, and then you have different rounds, and people will come out and they play the higher, faster, louder, whatever the pieces were, and then we'd come out and play the second movement of the Sangelet and just like let things float, just play beautifully. And so yesterday we played a version of Girl Talk that is just, I know that's why that our group sounded good, because it's totally different. And a kid that student taught with me down at Mascuda has a great band, way better soloists than we have. But it was because all four of their tunes were like, and we came out and we were just like, so programming has a lot to do with it, no doubt in my mind. And then, we did the Boy Meets Horn, and we ended with Kenya, and not Maiden Voyage, Maiden's, I don't know, something we started with. We started working on that after Purdue, so we've got like 2 or 3 rehearsals on it. So, I'm proud of my kids because of that, and it's choices like that. You don't have to play the highest, the fastest, the loudest, the craziest piece out there. You just have to play beautifully. Yeah.
What's like the band warm-up routine and also the approach?
Oh, you weren't in here when we did it, actually.
Oh.
I did run. I would suggest, we've been doing Lectionary, Tony DiPasquale, and I have the MP3s on my computer, and I play them, and the kids play the licks back in like a number of different keys. we do that first, and then I do a series of scales and exercises to get them locked in. I also make the kids play all the major sevens, minor sevens. You go around all the 12 things. So like. Around the circle of fifths. But the exercise I have my whole band normally do. And then they play out voice chords, but I'm really trying to get them to swing and have the whole band feel that they're not pushing forward and rushing. So, and particularly younger kids, you'll feel it, you'll hear it, not line up a lot. So we sing it a lot and we play it a lot. And that do, did, dot, long, short, late. That figure right there is in every piece you play. And so if you can get that to lock in, you're going to be good. So that's a lot what I do with warm up on there.
So like you said that your band isn't where it used to be. Like what sorts of things do you like mindfully do to not be like, oh, they're bad because of my teaching, or like something like that? Not that they're bad, but like.
We constantly work on technique. We constantly work on obviously playing with good sounds and choosing literature that A, they're going to sound good on, and that B, will stretch them in certain ways that will get them to the next point. Our top wind band is playing things that our second band used to play. I mean, we're really down a whole notch. Some of it's COVID, but most of it's because they're not getting in the middle school now. Do I have some outstanding players? Absolutely. But the color instruments is where it hurts. French horns, trombones. At one point, I had 27 trombone players in my band. I marched 27 trombone players. I marched 15 sousaphones. I marched 20 mellophones. We had like over 20 French horns in our program. Now I have to scrape them together to, and so if you're trying to play, some of the hardest Ranger pieces or hardest, double reeds is another thing. We just started 3 bassoon players because we don't have any, so it really limits what you can play. But we're constantly working on things to try and bump them up, make them feel good about it, but then, get them to the next level. And I would never tell them that I'm disappointed in them. That's just not me. But I'm constantly wanting them to get back up to that level.
This is off topic, but what's your favorite like sax quartet piece and your favorite solo piece?
God, well, saxophone quartet was my thing. I love saxophone quartet. And when we won Fish Off, we played the Des Enclos, which was might be my favorite. We started with Nuages, we did the Saint-Gelais, and with the Russell Peck. So you have to play like 40 minutes worth of music. But the Des Enclos, I love it. It's just a fantastic stuff. As far as solo literature, man, I could take it or leave it with that. But I did like the Des Enclos. I like a lot of the standard stuff. I won the concerto competition here with the Bear, so I got to play with the orchestra. And I was pretty upset because I don't think the orchestra took that piece as seriously as they should have, because the wind parts are just as hard in the bassoon and the oboe and as the saxophone part. And I don't think the orchestra played it as well as I would have liked them to. But nonetheless, I did the Bear. I played the Tonsman on the baritone sax. I love that piece.
Wait, do you have a concerto?
There's a piece out there. It's out there. You have to. It's a bassoon piece, but you have to just add 3 sharps basically, and read it in you get in treble clef. But yeah, I did that actually, it's one of the pieces I auditioned to get into grad school here on. It's the one that,
If you still
crazy
have it,
one.
let me know. Cause that's what I was started.
The Townsman?
Yeah.
Yeah, unless my sister has it. My sister's a saxophone major too. Well, she's a teacher now. This other piece of crazy wild piece, man. Julie Gunn, does anybody know Julie Gunn? She was my accompanist also, man. She's awesome. She is awesome. She played for everybody. And of course, her husband is world famous, but Julie's the real deal. And she was my accompanist here. Why can't I think of the name of that crazy piece? It's like a Russian piece that it's like, what?
The glass one?
No, not Glassman. It's like a jazz guy. It's like a jazz thing. That the guy's head, you have to play all like quarter tones and weird, crazy multiphonics and second movement. That's a piece I remember working my butt off on and playing in a recital. Deborah was fantastic with that. Any other questions? Yeah.
So you direct 3 jazz bands, I'm assuming there's multiple concert bands also, and the orchestras, and you're able to take them to festivals and things like that. How do you have time to balance that and
It's tough.
make it such a,
I'll be honest with you, like particularly, so our twins were born. My wife is a fantastic French hornist, and she's a very good teacher. She was teaching elementary school music in our district for a number of years. And when the twins were born, she stayed home for 5 years and taught private lessons. That's part of the reason why we had so many French horn students. That was good. But when the job came open, she applied for it. And I remember her telling me at one point, you need to stop saying yes. Like, because I mean, it's not only the stuff for our school, but with ILMEA, I was very highly involved with that, all the way up to the presidency of that. And I was coaching Little League and coaching travel baseball and all of the above. And she's, but she's like, you gotta stop saying yes. And so we had lots of talks about that, but once she started teaching at the high school level with us, then it was easier for her to accept, why we were doing it. And it's true. I mean, it's a definite thing that if you're going into music education, you're gonna have to balance life and teaching, because it's not, and the spouse has to have some kind of tolerance for what the job is. I'm lucky in that respect. And like I try to talk to my student teachers all the time when they're here, when I have them, that the job is done when it's done. It's not, it's not you just go home. If you got a gig, you have to put the stuff away. And so there's a lot of that. And I think some younger people, like they don't get that part, or some don't get it. But there's great people all around that do get it. And I've had both with student teachers, ones that really understand that I'm going to go above and beyond and do it. And I appreciate you just contacting me and coming out and helping and what have you. And I've had other kids do that. Spencer Heil, I don't know if you know that name, he did the same thing. We had other people. Spencer's now the band director at Hershey. He's fantastic. And so it's a hard balance dealing with all of those things. This week, I'll tell you, this last week was rough. at ILMEA, I had talked to Melissa Gustafson Hines, who was on the board of directors of the Fallon. She's wanted me to come down and work with her band for like 5 years. And so I got asked to do the Mississippi Valley Conference district. It was a concert band. And I was thrilled to go. It was a friend of, or a guy who used to talk with me that we're friends. He comes up to Illini games. We talk fairly regularly, invited me to come down. Got me a hotel room. I called Melissa and said, hey, I'm gonna be in the area. I can come over and work with your jazz band. So I worked with her jazz band. The next day I went and saw the jazz band, the guy that student taught with me, watched that. It was a 6:30 rehearsal, and then went and did this conference band all day, concert at 7, drive back from St. Louis. Next morning, I am taking the orchestra to ISU for orchestra day or whatever. So I was there all day with the orchestra. It was really great. That's the first thing we've done with the orchestra and that like that. And then pep band that night. And then the next morning I get up and we had Eastern Jazz Festival. I had 6 performing groups. And it's like one after another, after another, after another. Get back 8:30 last night. Did not hear from anybody, because everybody knows that I hate this when people tell me the score of the game. And I was able to watch the Illini and not hear about it from anybody else. So I record all the games and watch them, usually way later than I should be up. But that's, and then I'm here today. So then we have jazz band at 6:50 tomorrow morning. And I'm fine with that, that's what I signed up to do. That's what I like to do. And our new band room is so much nicer than what we had before. And so I don't have a problem going into school and spending time there. The place we had before was dirty, nasty, loud. And so our new place is clean and nice. So I feel like I'm in Disneyland every day going into school, So I don't have a problem with the hours. Now that our kids are at college and they're not dependent upon us, it's not uncommon for me to do 12 to 14-hour days. And some of you guys will show up here for the Marching Illini and like watch rehearsal and that kind of stuff, just because our kids are involved. We like that. So that's a good question. That's a hard one, especially if your spouse doesn't have the same values. Mine does. So, yep.
Just to add on to that, have you ever tried to add like playing or gigging into that and balancing that as well?
So when I was a young teacher, yes, I did that all the time. Actually, there was a band, Peter Rubel ran a band out of Parkland. It was called the Indie Big Band, and I used to play in that. It was one night a week, and then John Hutchins, I was playing in his group. It was the Pocket Big Band, and doing gigs with them. And then as soon as the twins are born, my wife said, "You gotta stop playing. You need to home more." Which twins are hard, man. So that's when I really stopped playing. Now that our kids are older, I do play my horn a little bit more, but I'm not out there a lot. I mean, I get asked to play here and there. I play more baritone sax than anything else. Partly because I own my own, but I made more money playing bari than any other instrument. I played in a funk rock band in Boston. Rippopotamus is in there. If you want to look it up, you can still see it. And there's some weird pictures of me when I was your age, dressed in camouflage and all kinds of weird stuff. Like it was a Halloween party that we played. But yeah, there's goofy stuff. I think the page is called Dead Horn Players. There was like 1.17 different horn players that played in that band. And there was, when I was in the band, there was 2 trumpets, a trombone, a tenor, and a bari. Fun.
All right, well, thank you so much for all having real quick, actually, KK side
KK side, you always share. They told me, so you can
stack them or just move them aside?
Okay. One quick announcement, this hasn't been like official yet, but we're gonna make an announcement this week about it. We have a professional development session coming up February 26th, 11 a.m. We have 4 recent graduates from U of S and first year teachers joining us on Zoom. They're gonna talk about their experiences and answer some questions, so join us for that. But yeah, thank you for being here today. Had fun watching the Super Bowl.
I was just gonna return to that for
It's a lovely state.
Yeah.
We're playing Sweet It's just like and then come on cool. Yeah, and then I think we're working on the box 5. That's on the very front. That's hard.
Yeah.
It'll take a little bit now. Thank you for coming. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for directing, Sam. New growth. It's tough, yeah.
It is, yeah. No, I know. My brain is. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, she was my high school favorite. So just like, oh, so this is.
Yeah, that's cool.
Even though
I was thinking, I feel like the whole
it's
thing.
getting.
That's cool.
Go. I thought you went behind you. I was like, wait, I just. Oh, you need to go up front. Yeah. That's cool.
Are you serious?
Did you?
Let's see how many people. 0. Bye, friends.